Alrighty, hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good at whatever time of the day it is for you. I hope that you're doing well. Got this connection popping up. All right, I see that it's going. Don't know who's going to show up here. Hope it's a good time. If not, that's okay too. That is okay too. I've got the live chat visible, and of course, this recording will be saved and probably put out there. So, I wanted to just kind of hop into a few things this morning. It's been a while since I did anything in the live format, especially. But I've been doing some recordings and I'm kind of taking a break just because I'm doing school stuff and it got pretty hectic. But now we're on the other side of that. Things went well. My affairs are a bit more settled. Um, a lot has gone on in the world, and I don't have a list in front of me like I usually do, but that's because I'm probably going to switch over to some Ostfront in a moment here, which will make it, I'm sure, very, very difficult for me to focus, but that's fine. We live and we die by the ADHD. I wanted to start with kind of a meta comment because there's not a lot of people listening to this, and this is a thought that it's been going around in my head, but there's been this effort over the past few years to derail nascent nationalist populist political activism by putting in fake leaders and bad ideas and getting people to do everything that they can to impede the progress of something that otherwise would be pretty organic in its success, right? Something that's naturally popular ends up attracting people, ends up doing well. Um, but that's not what's been going on, right? What's been going on has been a series of bad leadership decisions, a lack of leadership, and also very much an effort to make it clear that if you try to stand against the system, you will be destroyed. If you try to act as a leader, you will be destroyed. If you don't go along with what people want, you will be removed. You will be replaced by somebody who is. And by the way, there's no rules in this. There's no authority you can appeal to. There's no sense of fairness. Um, this is the result of an intentional strategy by government and non-governmental but paragovernmental actors under a lot of guises, right? They called it countering violent extremism. They called it counter-populist messaging, defending and fortifying democracy. But what it really is, they've tried to kill a whole form of thinking. They've tried to kill the idea that, there is something essentially good to the human spirit, that there is a aspiration, that there is a destiny which man can reach out to, but that it has to be worked for, that it's not going to be given. And that hard work and understanding the nature of being part of a collective and that individuality is not the end goal here and that there is a reason why we've done things the way that they have been, and that while phenomena may be emergent, they're certainly describable. And we can certainly say, well, golly gee, I don't think it's a good thing that we've done X, Y, and Z socially, and we've had, A, B, and C results. And by the way, some of those results are really horrifying, like, we're on a path towards extinction as a species, right? So there's a lot to that, but it's really frustrating because you see this notion of there being a crown in the gutter to be grabbed, and instead of people who want crowns, you see people grab it who are comfortable in gutters. Um, there's no desire to lift it out, I guess, is my issue, and it becomes this self-fulfilling negative prophecy. It becomes this really destructive attitude of I'm going to get mine, I'm going to use this as a vehicle to achieve what I want, to become who I think I can be, and by doing so, right, it defeats the whole purpose. I think one of the more important aspects of this we have to appreciate is that leadership is a role which is earned. It is never given, or at least it shouldn't be. And the only way it's maintained is through strength and through demonstrating the qualities which leadership expects. And the most ironic part of it is that it's fed into a system which is now pretty much leaderless, right? There's been this concerted effort to make it impossible for leaders to exist, for leaders to stay around, for leaders to be stable. Because leader comes out, oh, well, let's do everything we can to destroy them. Let's get them on our side. Let's make them act for the opposition. And instead of destroying the movement, which was the intention, instead of destroying the overall goals, they've increased the desire for it because people see the censorship. but they've created something that is essentially leaderless, right? I can sit here and I can have one viewer, I can have no viewers, I could have 10,000 viewers. It wouldn't really change the nature of it to me, um, because I have done the higher end. I've seen the higher end. I could boot up a channel right now, or it would be a thing if I were streaming. Um, I don't know that's what I want out of it right now. Maybe it is. I certainly part of me feels guilty, I guess, that I had the reins and I put them down because it wasn't the appropriate thing for me. Because the people who picked it up were incompetent, they were badly intentioned, and it led to a lot of good people getting hurt. I did what was selfish, I did what was easy and what was in like my right interest, I think, but at the same time, right, time has marched on and it's kind of indicated the idea that sometimes the best move to do is to do nothing, right? The old Confucian adage to sit by the side of the river and watch the bodies of your enemies float by. Um, the need to be seen is a terminal illness in the digital era. If you have to get the validation of, oh, somebody is looking at me, oh, I am the dancing monkey, because what ends up happening is you're the dancing monkey, but you think you're guiding people, right? You're guided by your donors, you're guided by your staff, you're guided by the relationships you want to maintain and the vision that you have for yourself. But at the end of that, right, you're not the one calling the shots, essentially. You might make the individual small ball decisions, but the real decisions are made before they get to you. And it just becomes another bowl of shit that you got to eat. So, with all that being said, I find it really fascinating that the new Kanye West track is out there because I think that it's definitely a push towards this institutional capture on the other side. Um, it's not just, something that's true, something that's important to recognize. You'll never be the only person to recognize. Shout out to the homeboy, dance monkey, dance. Yeah, you'll never be the only one to recognize it, and that's not like a bad thing, um, because it vindicates the theory. But there is a market timing thing to it, right? You want to usually be the first, be the best, or cheat, and we don't need to cheat here, which means that we got to be the best. Uh, Although we were also the first in a sense, and the first will be last. But it's very frustrating because there's people who have been destroyed by not being able to do that, right? There's people today who their job is to go on Twitter and post things that socially engage people to create disorder, to create like animus and energy. We used to do that shit for free. We still could, not that that's the goal necessarily, but it kind of feels like the Lincoln Lawyer, right? I used to drive a Lincoln before they paid me to drive a Lincoln. Um, Only it's much higher stakes because what we're discussing and what I'm trying to say without saying is that the future of the right wing, the future of populism in general, because I think it's bigger than a left wing right wing dichotomy, is that after Trump there is nothing. There are possibles. There's a Marco Rubio future, there's a JD Vance future, there's a backlash future. There's all sorts of futures. Um, and what happens to the probabilistic distribution of outcomes will be shaped by the culture. What's most likely to happen will probably happen, right? But what will be most likely to happen will be shaped by expectations. And so by shaping and by interacting with those expectations, it is very possible that we could change something rather significant downstream. And there's an argument that that's already what's happened. I've said this for a decade, and I'm sure I'll say it for decades more, but Trump didn't invent Trumpism, right? Trumpism was already there. The idea that we needed mass deportations, that America is not just a piece of paper, that's been there. That's been well understood by intelligent people for a while. Now, it might not be, as directly conveyed. Um, but it was a message whose messenger was refused. And specifically, that messenger was Pat Buchanan. And the way he was refused was, weirdly enough, Donald Trump torpedoed his presidential run. But that's neither here nor there. Just a very interesting little historical side note with it all. Because now, does Buchanan's vision take over? Buchanan was a Nixonite. He's he had very good ideas. He's a very intelligent man. Um, Not all of them are still appropriate, especially his views on China, I think. Do we go in a more radical, identitarian, zero-sum game view? Possibly. I will say this. I know that James Lindsay, sees it. I don't want to say it the same way I do, because that's certainly not true. Because I'd have to be a fucking moron to see the world like James Lindsay, but he does see at least like the broader shape of it, right? He sees that there's going to be something, and that something will in some ways be a reaction to all of the meme poison that's been pumped out over the years. So I just realized my audio capture is like maxed out. I hope I haven't been blasting levels. I'm going to check a couple quick things here, and then we're going to switch over to some Ostfront. I will keep trying to rant and rave about politics, but when we're doing small unit tactics, I cannot promise anything. Anyway, it feels good to be back. Not as good as it would be to be back with, you know, a whole bunch of craziness going on. And we could certainly talk about the news, but do you want my hot take on the trade deal with Britain? No, it's weird because I thought we were going against the Chinese, but apparently we weren't. That's a great trade deal. Okay. What else? The India-Pakistan war? I'm in favor of it. I don't know what to tell you. Also, the Pakistanis are absolutely wrecking people. So I appreciate that the Indian army, for all of its hubris, for all of their tough talk, because everyone likes it when somebody talks tough and gets whacked in the face. You really do. And I'm not the biggest fan of Pakistan, but I am a big fan of the technology used in the war, right? Because you have Pakistan with like this mix of American and Chinese monkey models, although the Chinese didn't really monkey model anything out, they just gave them the real deal. And then the Indians have like top flight European and Russian technology, which apparently is kind of trash. So it's an interesting dynamic. I think that if we were going to see it go further, that there would have been a more significant mobilization, and that we probably would be seeing some armored spearheads. Because the whole point, basically, to this war is that the territory in Jammu and Kashmir is like super nasty. It's mountains, it's rivers, it's massive elevation changes. And then the rest of the border is just big and flat and open and really easy to drive across. So the smart thing, if India was seriously trying to start and win the war, would be to push, like half of their 15 armored spearheads into that area, push a couple of them up into Jammu and Kashmir to push the Pakistanis back, and then just try to hold on territory while march into the suburbs of Islamabad. They haven't done that. And if they haven't done it by now, I don't think it's going to happen, because you're in a situation where they'd be advancing into really hostile territory with a lot of really well equipped and decently trained personnel. And I understand that there's a competence gap between Southeast Asia and Europe when it comes to like individual unit performance, but anti-tank guided missiles will still wreck a tank, right? Anti-aircraft missiles will still take down an aircraft. And yeah, I don't know. That being said, maybe it would have been better had there been the initial hard war, because now we're going to have a really nasty open-ended exchange where neither side has the ability to push forward in the contested area effectively. Neither political body really has the appetite for the casualties that kind of war would have, but there's increasing demand for it. And this is the kind of stuff that leads to asymmetrical escalation, which can lead to nuclear conflict. So, huge issue. Hopefully it's being dealt with, or hopefully it's not being dealt with, because frankly, I'm worried about global warming, and the best way to solve global warming is nuclear winter. Kind of joking, kind of not joking. I don't know. Anything else big in the news today? Probably not. Let's not worry about it. Let's switch over to some Ostfront. So my most recent addiction is this game. Now, I've got it set up with the Valor mod pack because it includes a few different countries that you can play with. So I'm just waiting for OBS to show me that it has gone. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now, I will be tabbing back in occasionally to check the chat. But let's go ahead and set up a new single player, and we're going to do a conquest, and we're going to create a conquest, and we're going to do Germany versus... Ooh, what are my options? Wait, okay, north would be the Finland maps. That's fun. I didn't realize I could do it that way. And you know what? We're just going to do Germany versus France and Britain. Western front. We'll keep it on normal because I'm not super good. We'll put the economy up to high, very high. And the campaign size too large. All right, continue. All right, so this is a tactical game, but it also does let you go first person, which is fun. the vehicle models are pretty similar to War Thunder in that they're like fully modeled with parts, and individual parts can break. Every individual soldier has inventory. The supply system is relatively detailed. I think the graphics are good. It's more in depth than Steel Division when it comes to like the tactical, granular units of gameplay. There are ways that it's like, wow, this is just super duper unoptimized. But I'm pretty sure it's some sort of Euro or Russian system. Alright, so anyway, I'm not going to bore you to death while I get it set up. I should have done this beforehand, but I didn't because I am incompetent and lazy. So we're just going to pick a few. We got 10 points to pick from down here. Usually I pick small defenses off the go because otherwise I'll forget, but I'm going to leave that for right now, so I do forget probably. Alright, this is our rifle thing, and we're going to go down and we're going to start off with Tonk because I want to make sure I've got Tonk. Alright, now we have a couple options, but the option that we're going to go for off the bat is we're going to unlock the Martyr 2 because that's got a 75mm. And I'm not playing games. You know what? We'll get another 75, and we'll get a 2cm flak, and then we're gonna get some Ostfront. There we go. Just so we've got meat for the meat shields. All right. Now we've got 1,200 points to spend to put together a little deck. So we're gonna get a martyr, because we're gonna get a martyr. Duh. Come on. Why did you just blow your whole budget on martyrs? Shut up, it's fine, don't worry about it. And then I might buy a Panzer B or C. I'd like to get the Fuchs, but that's a bad idea off the bat. I've got 645 to spend. Maybe a flak cannon? I don't have indirect, but I also didn't get anything for indirect, so we're gonna just have to make do. You know what? I think this guy's got a 2cm flak in it, right? Yeah, what's the difference here? A little bit of armor. Okay, well we'll get the slightly more expensive one, and then we're just gonna fill up the rest with garbage, I guess. So let's get our infantry. Seachuring squad, which again, it's not great either. And then Ostfront, which is even cheaper. What are these guys armed with? Car 98s, okay. So there's not much of a difference then, really. Is it maybe like a health thing, HP thing? These guys have a base 200. Oh yeah, these guys are actually softer. Okay, fair enough. Alright, so we'll get 2, 3. Alright. Well, we may not need to go for the cheapy boys, but let's get that. Medic. Ammo. Capture crew. And then we'll spend the last of it on, I guess, AT. Alright. Save. Then we gotta put him into our little deck here. So, since we're attacking on the first one, we're gonna just have as much of it as we can in the lead off, which is not a whole lot, okay? Alright. Save, select campaign, and we'll pick this one because it's got research points. Confirm, start. Alright. It does take a minute to go, so I'll pop back over here and check the live stream. Oh, no, half the chat has left. That's too bad. Oh, well. Max of 2 concurrent viewers. That's, you know what, that's fine by me. Appreciate people stopping by, though. If you're doing well, say hi in the chat. If you're watching. I'm just going to go ahead and check on the Twitter group chat. Should I just play the new Kanye West song in the background? I don't think I can get away with that. It's not so good. Okay, so on the Kanye West point, right, a couple important points to make here. One, he didn't do it the first and he didn't do it the best. Wig Nasty, Mr. Bond. But here's the thing, is Mr. Bond's in jail, right? Like, if you want to run around rapping the way that Kanye is, if you truly meant it, you would be like, hey, there's this dude in jail for nothing other than saying these words. Maybe get him out of there. There's no consideration of that, right? And supposedly he runs in these social circles where he would know about it. So it's not just an accident. It's like this skin suit shit of we're not allowed to do something, so people that are creations of the media enterprise will come in and take it from us, because that's what it's for, right? We are like the organic, natural pathfinders. We discover the paths of least resistance and the optimal arbitrage strategies, and then it's replaced. Like, we are replaced because we don't have the capital or the social defenses that they do, right? We're not the protected class. We are the victim class to these people. And I don't like to take the attitude of victimhood because victimhood is for victims and we're not victims. But it is incredibly frustrating to see people say, oh, well, we can't do this. No, it's not that we can't do it. It's not, we're not allowed to. We're never allowed to succeed. Whenever we do succeed, they've got to come in and destroy us. And we get no protections. We don't get to play by the fair rules. But it's fine when you think about a big picture, because we're the only real threat that the system faces. Like, philosophically and in every other conceivable way, there's no real threat to the system except for us, because we are internal to the system, because we are the core of the system. And so, yeah, it makes sense why they've got to go so hard at us, why they've got to destroy our heroes and subvert our ideals and make it impossible for us to even communicate safely. Because if they don't, then their whole thing is messed up. All right, later, Soko 8008. Cheers, buddy. Good to see you as always. Good luck with the thing that you got going on. Takes a minute to load. Shocking. Part of this is to test how well the graphics card comes out of it. I got a 580 whatever. It was the one that the AI said was the best for my chipset, because I got Oblivion and it looked like trash on my old one. So I upgraded. It wasn't like a massive upgrade, but I spent a couple $100 on it, and it's been noticeably better. So I do feel good about that. But yeah, so since we're the only threat to the system, really, they've got to make it so that we can't be presently seen, right? We can exist, but we can't be prominent. We can be there, but we can't profit from it. And what ends up happening is they'll have these smart ideas, right? Because that is a smart idea. And then it backfires, because there's this organic iterative evolution to the whole process, right? When you go around and you cull a generation of leaders and you make it impossible to organize, openly and directly, then people just do it anyway. And they take the steps necessary to protect themselves. And they understand, oh yeah, sure, we're penetrated. Sure, you can, the NSA can read everything. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, dog. And that, I think, has, I don't want to say taken them by surprise, but it probably has, because they don't really seem to be ready for this new world. Whereas we're like custom formed to it, because we've kind of grown up native to it. And the generations that are to follow, the kids that are growing up on TikTok, yeah, no, it's going to be a skill issue. And it usually is a skill issue, right? You'll see these stories of like, shout out to the homeboy and or girl, Nikki, right, who hacked, what was it, New York University, and just published the racial admissions data, showed that they were lying about ending affirmative action. That's what we get. We get real elite human capital. We get Sky King. We get people that are visionaries. We get the kind of guy that would charge machine gun nest. We get anyway. So that attitude there, that I think is kind of, yes, it is evolved, but it's also eternal, and it pops up. And okay, well, I've just had a crash to desktop. That's cool. RIP. Oh man, all of that build up, and then it died. It died on me. I'm gonna try to rebuild the scene, I guess, but golly, that's frustrating. All right, so we're gonna try this again, and we're gonna play it with no mods. Why does it say downloading workshop? What the fuck mod do you need to download now? You people are retarded. You can say retard on YouTube, right? Retard, retard, retard. I always wondered if I said retard wrong. Retard. Retard sounds better, but it also kind of makes you sound retarded yourself, right? The ability to say a word. It's not so much, oh, it's interesting to say or not say. It's what are you allowed to do and where is the line, right? The line is always the interesting part. What is it that they're trying to defend? What is it that they're trying to delineate? And so when you can identify that, usually you can infer a bit more than you'll get just on the front side of things. All right, so I've got Valor going and another window. Should I just deactivate mods and just play straight up anti-Soviets? That's what we're going to do. Let me rebuild this scene, see if it just transitions back over. Game capture. Uh, properties. Oh, did it get it? It got it. Let's go. It knew what to do. Good job, OBS. I'm so proud of you. All right. Extras. Extra. Read all about it. We're just going to deactivate all of the mods here. Probably part of the reason it has the issue is I'm using a bootleg version of the Valor mod. Don't judge me. It's fine. They had a Giga Chad in a stall helm as their cover image on Steam, so I know that they can be trusted. And if you don't agree with that, you're just wrong. Okay, so I was going to play the Soviets, but I actually like playing on the Western Front a little bit more. Go figure, right? American. Idiot. So we're going to try that. We're going to do Germany versus America. No mods. Now, am I setting myself at a total disadvantage? Yes. Do my basic soldiers have KAR 98s and the enemy has M1 Grants? Absolutely. Do I care? No. We'll be fine. You know why? Because we have the spirit of I can't say that on YouTube on our side. Here's what kills me is like I mean yeah, it'd be fun if more people were watching. And it will be, right, if I keep doing this, because the trick to anything with online popularity is just to keep posting and people will show up because there's this massive content desert. But I know I'm funny because my shit's hilarious. I'm always saying silly things. And like I didn't used to be as conscious of it. I would just say things because my brain said that's the way it's supposed to sound. And then people would like clip it and like I'd hear soundboards of it and be like, oh yeah, that is actually really, really funny out of context. Honestly, it's given me a lot of insight to the president, which is a weird spot to get out of it, but the way that he talks and the way that he'll sometimes, you know, just absolutely lean in on a meme, not to compare myself to the president, but it certainly feels that way. All right, nobody's watching. We can do this now. No pressure. No pressure. Streaming to an empty internet. Or posterity, right? Because it might be I'm stringing to 0 people. It might be that this is taught as a course later on in some future history. So, getting back into it. And we're just going to blame Barbed Wire Studios for the failure, but I'm going to do my same research as I think. Actually, since I don't want to buy the big artillery, we're going to just buy the mortar off the bat. And that leaves us with 2 points, and so instead of going for Osttruppen, we're going to go for an actual rifle squad, I think. Yes, rifle squad. Yeah, rifle squad. Okay. And then we can just get that second call in for free. Research selected. Can we get the infantry cart for free? We can. Beautiful. Alright. Let's try this again. So we're going to get the Martyr. Martyr 2, excuse me. Alright. And then in terms of vehicles, so our options would be light tanks, but we'll get the 8cm Granatwerfer because mortar is good. And now we've got 385 to spend, so 1 rifle squad. 2 rifle squad, and then I could get 2 Citroen squads. Or I could get a Citroen squad and a medic? Yeah, okay. And then we'll get a medic. There we go. The system works. Alright, save. Select campaign. Take the one with research. Oh, we've got to actually deploy our troops. That's stupid. Who needs to send troops to a war, guys? Alright, and then we'll put these guys with the mortar. Alright. Save. Start. And we'll go back over and see. Yep. Look at that. Type in the chat with my extra large mechanical keyboard. I always wonder if it gets picked up. I'm sure it does, and I'm sure it bugs the heck out of people, but I kind of like it because there's nothing more annoying to me when I'm listening to a stream or a video somebody records and I can hear them typing, but it's that like muted like thump thump in the background. And you're like, am I going crazy? Am I picking up on my like fillings, the the transmissions of radio from deepest, darkest Africa, and it's just a bunch of clicking? And no. It's not. They just have a keyboard that's afraid to be a keyboard. You're never going to mistake that as not being a keyboard. If I could get it where it would be the mechanical clicks of an actual typewriter, I would do it. In a heartbeat. It's a great idea, honestly. Made in America, all steel. Make that bitch weigh like 20 pounds. With the little round keys on the extended lever arms. If you can find a way to make it fully strike at the back, it'd be perfect. Be perfect. People like the feel of typing on a typewriter. The children yearn for the Minds Gandalf. But nowadays we just use touchscreens, right? It's interesting too because there's some phones, right, that have like a vibration when you type, some that don't. Some that have even like a tactile touchscreen that they're getting to. That in a few decades, that'll be the old-timey thing, would be even just having a keyboard. I don't know. See, I'm an optimist. I think that we'll get haptic keyboards before that becomes an issue and you can just like type on air. I hope. I pray. You never know. You never know. And it's also never really too much worth worrying about the anything negative, because who cares? Just don't worry about it and it's not a problem. Tyler, the Creator, was a very wise man. And because I am apparently completely addicted to it, I'm going to go ahead and just check that group chat one more time. Nope. Nope, that's fine. No attention for me. No internet attention for me. I don't want it. I want it. I crave it. I crave it. But no, but it's like a drug, right? Like, would it be great to just get up every day and do a huge amount of cocaine and just be like, look at me, I am goated with the sauce, I feel glorious, I'm getting a bunch of stuff done, I can do X, Y, and Z because I'm just so awesome. But it's not really that, right? It's the drug, it's the simulation of the thing, not the real thing. What pays off in the long run, and the only really sustainable way is, I genuinely believe, like long-term, large volume effort. The things that I've been successful at in life, it's because I've, even if I hated it, put in the time and said, I'm not failing this, I'm going to be here, I'm going to do the hours, and if I fail, it won't be because of a lack of effort, right? And those end up usually being pretty successful, and if they don't, probably because I screwed it up somewhere along the line, or it wasn't meant to be. It's difficult to read too much into happenstance in life. I think it screws up a lot of people with religion because they want the world to make sense, and when they talk about, do you believe in a caring, loving God, right? For them, that caring, loving God has to care about them, has to love them specifically. And, while you hope that's true, it seems to be an awful big ask of anything whose remit is, creation in the entire universe. Like, maybe you can get a lower level archon involved, but I don't know. I get in trouble with that because I've, at this point, gone fully in on the woke right debate on the side of the woke right. I understand it's not a real thing. In my head, it's now real. I've created it. It is the Gnostic tradition. It is Basilides' teachings. It is Abaraxis, the Great Archon. It is Charles Manson. It is all of those terrible and weird and mysterious things. And we're gonna like roll that together and just make this terrible psychic slurry, because these people have declared war on waking up, I guess, in the morning. And I think it's important to wake up in the morning. I'm not woke, but I think every morning you should rise with vitality and a sense of purpose. Doesn't always happen, but that's the aspiration, right? You wake up in the morning and you're filled with a dreadful purpose. I miss being filled with a dreadful purpose. I used to wake up and it would be my purpose to do X, Y, and Z, and that would impact people, sometimes in a negative way, sometimes intentionally in a negative way, but anyway, all right, so we are spawned. Let's go ahead and bring in our troops. Okay. Reinforcements are coming from the north. We've got this road from the southwest. OBS is causing my quality to chug just a little bit. Just a little bit. That's okay. Oh man, this is going to be ugly. Alright. Yeah. Maybe getting a bunch of armor was a terrible decision. Okay. So first things first, I'm the realist. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our infantry units and we're going to split them in half. Just so we've got six-man elements instead of three 12-man elements. Or whatever, 5. Americans split into 6, Germans split into 5. Alright. And then we're just going to start moving them up. And we're going to kind of try to press the advancement just a little bit. Possibly more than we should. Because, yeah. Why not? And the why not, of course, is everybody horribly dies in a misguided attack. But shut up. If you had a thing to say, you should have died fighting on the Eastern Front, I guess. There is something very spiritual about the idea of like dying in a completely pointless, or at least, I don't want to say pointless, but a doomed war effort. right? Like if you go into a fight and oh yeah, we're gonna win, it's gonna be easy mode. Like that's great, good for you as a warrior, good for your thing. But does anybody really count it? It's not, you know, it's not a great victory if you don't fight a great enemy. Trump got in trouble yesterday because he was talking about the Houthis, whom he fabricated or at least just like made up. They don't want to fight anymore, so it's a ceasefire. And Oman totally says this is legit, guys, and you know the truth of it, whatever. But he went into the White House and he said, well, he lives there, so he didn't go in there, but he was already there, and he was talking with the media, and he said, you know, the Houthi are great warriors. We bombed the shit out of them, and they really, really, really did not want to give up. They were fighting. They're absolutely fighters. They took so much punishment. It was incredible. And I mean, when he talks about sports people, you can hear the same kind of attitude of, you know, this person's incredible. They're able to do X, Y, and Z, and isn't that so great? Because it raises the whole thing, right? If it's a thing filled with great people, then it you know, it raises the profile, it raises the character of it. Trump recognizes that because he's all about that kind of promotion stuff. He understands the value because it's a very basic. I don't even want to say like it's a male thing, but you know, you praise your enemies, especially if you're claiming some sort of victory, right? Look at us, we're so great. We beat a difficult enemy. Nowadays we can't have that, right? Nowadays it's all trash mobs, trash mobs, trash mobs. Everything's, I say as I walk into like the trash mobbiest of games. Well, maybe I shouldn't call the American military trash mobs. I apologize to any investigators listening to this in the future looking for things to throw me into the gulag for. I don't know. Do you ever just consider like the hypothetical persecutor, prosecutor, Satan figure you ever put on trial for X, Y, and Z thought crime or stupid shit that you said? How are you going to frame it? How are you going to phrase it? I think there's something liberating from just not caring, right? And I think that that's the ultimate goal of it, is to teach, you know, that you don't act in a way because that's the way that the adversary wants or expects from you. You do it because it's either right or it's wrong or it's expected by a higher authority of which you are not capable of questioning. Like, that's all pretty legitimate sounding to me. But I've also been told that I'm not like allowed to practice religion anymore. Not be religious, but just my practice of religion makes people uncomfortable. I guess yelling the great Archon Abaraxis and listening on YouTube could certainly, you know, scare the hose a little bit, just a little bit. But the hose exist to be scared. People are silly. Alright, so we've got contact across the line. The purpose right now is basically maintain the line. We'll start pushing the flanks up a little bit on them. I hate these little walls. Now, can I just drive through them with the mortar? Yes. Will I probably do that? Also, yes. But for right now, the mortar team has set up. Let's warp some grenades, as it were. You know what? Let's actually put you on return fire only, so I don't just end up blowing up my own guys. Alright, well, we're going to let them cook, and we'll move these guys up. And so we're just advancing cover to cover. It's interesting, the maps on this that represent the Western Front, right? This is obviously, you know, France with the Low Countries. Very structurally different than the Eastern Front ones, also in terms of how you fight, because the Eastern Front maps are so much more open from cover. Yikes. Run for your life! Yeah, so this one was a bad idea, because I was trying to flank and I left this complete side open. Not intelligent on my part, I accept that. Such is life. Alright, minor casualties so far. Do I have a medic? I do have a medic. Alright, go save a life, buddy. You guys, get over here. Oh. Am I a joke to you? Oh, it's because their support section's no longer there. I really don't want my medic to get shot. Well, he's gonna get shot, I'm like almost certain of it. You know what, buddy? Go work some grenades over here. There we go. Okay, so the advance is bogged down. I am making mistakes. That's okay. Alright, nothing like making mistakes when people's virtual lives are on the line. Alright. So the issue is I don't want to drive this guy just down this way. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make him go up here, and we're gonna just kind of unbalance our formation a little bit. We're gonna pull back. We're gonna get some support going right here. You guys, get out of here, please. I'm begging you, just go. Actually, yeah, hold it down. Where do you go? Okay. No, you know what? Alright. You want to be dummies, we'll be dummies. There we go, yes. Maybe we just drive him up. Okay. And you guys are going to be allowed to fire. Alright. And part of it is just advancing, I don't want to say sector by sector, right? But you move pressure up into one area, and as they're responding to that, then you move it up in another area. Right, so that's what ideally what I'm trying to do is just kind of slowly move that line up from position to position. Here I'm setting up bases of fire. These guys get to the wall, they're covering. These guys get to the wall, they're covering. I don't trust this mortar, so we're going to take it over directly. Oh, wow, yeah, that area of probability is bad. You know what, we're just going to back on the turn fire. Wow, hey, look at that, though. Alright, you know what, you earned a chance at that one. Keep warping grenades, buddy. They are warping? Are they warping? See if anybody's there. You better be good at this game. I'm not. I'm very much not. Alright. The road is filled with idiots. Now, my concern is if I make this final... Okay, so where's the zone? The zone is here. I feel like if I move up to the church, I'm going to get shot across the thing. So maybe... I guess let's get these guys lit up on the street. Yeah, there we go. Make them work for us a little bit. Just one by one, move it up a little bit. Shoot him. Somebody. Shoot that man. Okay, so maybe letting the mortar just shoot is not the best idea. Let's see what this one is. Yeah, no, he's just warping them. So we're gonna put him on return fire. Where is the dude in the streets? Okay, he's over there. You know what? This is getting to be a bit much. We're going to go into first person. We're going to see if we can clear this up a little bit. Or at least die for the Reich in a very based way. Where are they? Somebody's shooting at me. They don't look like they're the out of position guys. It's these guys up here. Do not work now. Fully open fire again since they're not like right next to my dudes. Medics up this. Yeah, let's bring up. Though, yes. Well, martyrs, not tanks, but close enough for government work. Now I'm starting trying to bring the noose just a little bit tighter. The nice thing about these buildings and these built-up areas, it's much easier to defend the backside, right? Because you can just put everybody up against a brick wall. Hey, you can't be seen. Hey, you can't really be hit. And then if they try to pass that line, you've got your guys set up to just immediately shoot them. So that is a pretty useful thing, I will say. We'll move him up a bit now that we've cleared some space. Unfortunately, and perhaps the biggest realism issue with this game is just the ranges are so bad. You have artillery that'll shoot like 160 meters. Whatever. But it does, like, in practice, it's make it a little tricky. Alright, now we're going to park our tank on the road here. And hopefully they won't get too much from it. The smart thing to do would be just to push in, like, over here with these and cross the road safely. Working grenades are hardly working. I think they're on hardwood. Yeah, I really want to move out one of these elements, but I don't like it. Something blew up. I got my guys working on that. I wonder how much video games. Ooh, not good. Not good, Bob. You know what? You just chill there. You're fine. Now my biggest concern here is if I run up, they might just like Molotov me. But it also might let me just park a tank right on the spot. Or I could just be the one to drive in. I can't see, I'm in the wall. We're gonna drive through the statue. No, really? Oh, I don't want to waste a shell on it. Always look at the side of it. Probably there's a dude in that building waiting to throw a Molotov in the open cap. So let's move up some guys right there. Now, we have a use case for these guys. Look at that, everybody. You waited long enough and you became useful. Yep, there's the guy in the building. Man, could you imagine just like on the other side of that wall knowing there's an enemy tank just like waiting to wreck you? Because that's not it. This is not the 37 millimeter. This is the 7.5 centimeter pack 40. And even the machine gun he got shot by, that's still an ugly round to get hit. 7.92 or whatever. Alright. Now that they are distracted, we're going to move our guys up to this back courtyard. Oh, you know what, we should bring the medic here. Maybe heal those guys or something. I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but there's people actually dying. Still on ceasefire. We'll set it to return fire just in case there's restriction again. Okay. That cap is ongoing. And let's see what we do next. So we want to push through here. Thankfully we get back into more open terrain, but we'll have to push across. So we're gonna want to move up. Yeah, still not a great situation, I will say. Hello. Oh man, I think I just got like 8 people with that one shot. Alright. Is that what they call slicing the pie? Is that CQB? Are you allowed to use a gun that big for CQB, dog? Alright, and with that, they're wiped out on the point. Capture is ongoing. Fantastic. Bring up you to be like the super special extra guy who just stays there and holds the point for me. Thank you for your service. Bring up this extra medic, because we'll probably need him at some point. See what we've got. Did we capture anything? No. Lame. Alright. Where do we want my tank? That building, I guess. And see, now that we've captured that, it's kind of like the whole battlefield is reoriented. Because now the cover that we're looking to take is between us and that next point. Yeah, take cover in the church. That's not a war crime, right? That's fine. That's legal. Or whatever, the other thing, I guess. A war crime. But it's fine. bound this Overwatch. Part of the issue that I find with moving a bounding Overwatch is just that you'll end up with like either a really good position or people on a lockdown spot that they'll end up, that's a really good useful thing, and then they'll end up way out of position and useless when the fighting starts. And you don't want to surrender that corner or whatever, because you never know, because you paid a lot for it usually. Okay, and then so long as we leave that one guy there, that should be fine. Just element out. Some security. And I understand that my angles for the basic react to contact drill that I'm executing with these guys are not great. In fairness, that's always an issue I've had, is judging the amount of separation you want to have between elements. Because you also, I think it's important to keep them in a relatively tight coordination where they can actually provide fire support to each other. The idea that everything should be like these 90-degree perpendicular axes of attack, just like the little blue book says, right? There's a thought to it. I'm not particularly convinced by it needs to be that much, because and maybe this is why I keep ending up with elements so far out of place, right? Like these guys all of a sudden totally useless back here. All this effort to capture a trench line that was not held, but had it been held, right, would have been necessary. So just a nice, gentle pressure advance. I get the feeling they've got like a anti-tank gun or something like that. Oh no, open field. They're hiding out in the corners up here? Okay. Yeah, sure, we'll take this side of the wall. Lamau. Okay, so now I guess it's more about moving up. Am I allowed to just now? That's Ooh, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do Operation Kool-Aid Man. We're gonna put the tank to just drive right through the corner of the wall and start the gap. You guys, yeah, there you guys. Oh yeah. Love now. We're trying to reach you about your vehicle's extended warranty. Alright, capturing the gun. This element to provide. No. Man, this is all just like terrible. There we go. You guys go there. You guys take cover behind these headstones. Yeah, you ain't breaching through there, dog. Well, I'm really disappointed by the lack of equipment that the enemy dropped. But we're about to cap both those points and have a good little W on that. I could be better at this game. Alright, and so with that we'll let it tick down and we'll let it go. But yeah, this stream feels pretty good. I'll have to go back and see how choppy the graphics were, if I need to upscale or anything. But the ranting raving method is good, because I can definitely just cut bits of that out. I can certainly feel that when I'm trying to focus on this game, it's like a different part of my brain that's activated from the thinking, talking thing, which is not bad, because the thinking, talking part of my brain easily gets caught on a repeating loop, where I'll like have the same few tokens in my brain, and then just keep recycling them over and over again in new ways. Which, oh, you can't compare your brain to an LLM. Well, guess what, bud? It kind of is. I don't feel great about that, but I've noticed that it's a good reason to do other things other than just talk, right? And I guess I'll close this up in the same way I was beginning it, by just doing a little bit of talking. But there's a lot of people out there who are pontificators, hot take sellers, people whose value is based off of what they say and what they do. And the biggest issue that those people run into as a class and as a profession, I say this as somebody who's done it professionally, is that when you end up talking all of the time, you end up not doing anything. And I don't mean that in the sense of, you've got a bunch of projects that you never accomplish, although that happens all the time too. But it's that you become disconnected from the real world because you no longer live in it to the same degree, right? You're getting your food through delivery services, you're going at odd hours, you interact with people on very asymmetrical social power dynamics where you're a, minor niche internet celebrity and they're just some random person who's interested in the topic or a social scene. Um, all of that ends up leading to you being, I don't want to say crazy, but really detached. Because the most informative thing in your life is doing the shittiest work, right? Like go wash dishes for 8 hours, 12 hours, right? Go drive a truck, go, haul manure, go dig a fucking trench. Um, those kind of things, they ground you because there's stuff that you need to do. Your brain runs with a little bit excess capacity, so it charges up. You get thoughts and feelings and emotion, time to process stuff. And in working, you become more intelligent. For whatever reason, your brain is just that much more wired and your focus is that much tighter. Um, Now, do we reward it appropriately socially? No. Am I here to, explain the economic models? It's not really the point. But the point being is that there is a huge issue when leadership comes from podcasts and from podcasters, or from social media mavens in general, up to and including people that, high office, right? But when somebody is in a position where they are not forced to engage constantly with trivial, menial bullshit, um, it leads to a detachment. It leads to the idea that, Factorio is real life or that social clout is real, that what people say about you on the internet matters, or that the things that people feel are genuine all of the time. Whatever way that it goes, right? And there's good ways and bad ways, and it's not that there's an objective metric that can be taken of all of it, but I do think that there are varying degrees of detachment, and those varying degrees of detachment are, like patterns of fractals out from reality, of which the best way to reground yourself in reality is just to go live normal life. And that's not always, hard menial labor. Sometimes it is playing a video game, right? You got to run your brain in different methods. You've got to put your body through different things, right? Your brain when you're working out is different from your brain when you're, um, doing anything else. Go out and see a lot of water. Go catch a fish. Go hit a golf ball. When you're looking at large amounts of water or large amounts of trees, the parts of your brain which science still barely understands they don't understand them. But there is a reaction, and there's a reaction that has like a meta effect. And we see it because you can say, oh, well, the people who do X, Y, and Z live longer, right? They're happier. They have satisfaction in this way or that way. Those metrics show that there is a mechanism there, even if we don't appreciate it. Um, and that's not to say, you should do X, Y, or Z. But I think it's really important to put things in perspective, and politics perhaps most so because politics seeks to provide a perspective that informs everything else, right? Because to the political mind, everything is downstream of politics. But I think as much as that might be true, that politics is downstream of everything. Politics is never just put into a corner, and the idea that we can put politics into a corner and leave it to the professionals is insane because we're talking about questions of war and peace. We're talking about decisions that impact people's lives meaningfully and for a very long time, that impact the future and the world which we live in. And so the ultimate surrender is the one that they're trying to make us make, to cop out, to say, well, this is just not worth it. Um, and look, there's a intelligent and valid calculus to those kind of decisions, but at the end of the day, you just got to act in a way that you're not ashamed of. Nothing shameful in doing the smart thing, but when you're given the opportunity, when you're given the talent and the potential, um, is that going to be in service of yourself or what's it going to be in service of? And I think that that decision of what master you're going to serve is perhaps the most meaningful decision anybody ever makes, the most liberating in a way, even though you're talking about, bounded service. But in choosing to do so, in choosing to let go of being an individual, you can do really incredible things because our potential is limited by our individuality. Our real potential is unlocked when we operate in groups. Look at the jump that humanity made from, being basically, I don't want to say monkeys, but hominids to civilization dwelling agriculturalists. And think that it was tied to the development of language, to the language parts of the brain, to the hyoid bone, and the flexibility of the human tongue, and this ability to communicate abstract ideas, polysyllabic alphabets, right? Uh, so human civilization itself is based on the idea that communication and that the individual is less important than the ability to communicate, right? We have weak skin, we have weak bones, we have weak eyes, we don't have enough fur, we don't have sharp claws, but we're the most dangerous animal on the planet because we can be social, because we can communicate these ideas, and these ideas themselves can replicate. Um, we are basically like a mimetic, weapons program. Only we're not in service of a state actor. Used to be kind of, we'd be this fringe of the American thing, but there's this post-American populist world which is there. It already exists. It's a nation that doesn't have a flag. It's a nation that doesn't have an anthem or even a name for it. But you can see it. If you have eyes to see it, it's there. It's right there. It's in front of you. It's like the kingdom of heaven. It's visible. It is at hand. It is in the minds of men, and it's shared wherever people share it together. Um, that's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. Oh, it's hidden. Oh, I can't see it. Oh, but it's everywhere though, and it's in you. There's an upliftingness to it, right? Revelation. I hate the idea of the apocalypticism. Revelation, the falling away of veils, the revealing of something that was always there. That's what revelation truly is. It's not the beginning of something new. It's not the end of something that existed. It is the uncloaking of a truth which was always present. Um, just like revolution is a turning, right? And it's not a flipping. It is a rotational principle. It is torque. Um, a lot of big thoughts that if you've been around, and if you're listening to this, you've been around. I've said for a while, but I do enjoy saying things in a live format, and perhaps next time I do this, I'll bring a co-host, a second person, to speak with me, to talk with me, to have a good time with me, maybe to play some video games with me. But I don't know. Anyway, if you're hearing this, if you were here, if you've been around, I do want to take a moment to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. God bless.